Association of University Women and the League of Women of Petaluma County, I welcome you. This is a candidates forum for individuals running for mayor and council in the city of Petaluma. I'm Pamela. Petaluma government is comprised of 6 city council members and an elected mayor. They share 4-year terms, and about half of them rotate off every 2 years. This year, Petaluma will elect a mayor and 3 council members. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Pamela Torliat and David Rabbit for their many years of thoughtful and dedicated service to Petaluma. Lord knows they didn't do it for the money. One of them will be our next supervisor, the county supervisor's 2nd district, and the other one will have at least a short break in public service. Petaluma is so fortunate to have this many individuals that are willing to step up to participate in our public service process. We have 4 candidates for mayor and 9 candidates for city council. A quick count will reveal that we are about 3 candidates short. We're sorry that they could not all be with us here this evening. Mayoral candidate Chris Kilgore had a prior commitment, and mayoral candidate Josra Johnson-Lichter and council candidate Ray Bellafui did not respond to our invitations. So tonight we'll be hearing from 10 of the 13 candidates up for consideration in November. First, I'd like to, before we do introductions of the candidates and their opening remarks, I'd like to give you an idea of what the format will be for this evening. First, each candidate will have 1 minute to make an opening statement. That was 1 minute. The candidates for mayor are seated to my left, your right. And the last of the candidates are the city council candidates. The last one to open will be the first one to close at the end of the evening. After opening remarks, I will begin the question and answer session. Each candidate will have an opportunity to speak to each question for 1 minute. These are questions that have been submitted by the co-sponsors. We should have time to take a couple of questions from the audience. As you arrived this evening, you might have seen 3x5 cards made available. If you would like to submit a question of general interest, which is suitable for all of the candidates, please do so. Put that question on your card and pass it out to the aisle. They'll be collected by our volunteers. Following the question and answer period, each candidate will be given 1 minute for closing remarks. Our timekeepers this evening are Rosalie Gilmore and Rayleigh Alden. Wave hi, gals. One of those timekeepers will indicate with a yellow card when there are 15 seconds remaining during any of your comments. And when your time is up, she will display a red card to ask that you complete your sentence and quit speaking. Well, that said, let's hear some opening remarks from our candidates. Our first candidate to make an opening statement is mayoral candidate Mr. Maine. Jeff.
Thank you. I'm Jeff Maine. I'm running for mayor because we fundamentally need to change the tone of how our council operates. Decisions should not be made just because we have 4 votes to make them. We need thoughtful and respectful consideration for the viewpoints of all aspects of our community. We want a city council that really listens to our citizens. We deserve a diversified economy where we can acquire more of what we need to buy locally and at the same time employ people from within our community. I own 2 small businesses in Petaluma. I have created improvement as the president of the Petaluma Downtown Association. I've also created positive changes as a board member of the Chamber of Commerce. And with your help, I can create more opportunity as your next mayor.
Thank you so much. Mr. Glass?
Thank you. I am David Glass, the former mayor, and it's nice to sit to the left of Jeff Maine. I am the experienced candidate in this race. I've served this community for 10 years, 4 years on the Planning Commission, 4 years as mayor, and now 2 years back on the City Council after a very brief break for pursuit of my radio career. So I have the experience to do the job. I also have the track record of doing the job and building a consensus, and we have not sat in gridlock or sat by idly for the last 21 months. We've done much, but just like the national economy, you're not seeing the results yet, but you will soon. And I want to be the mayor to be here to deliver the message and get us back on track. My candidacy is endorsed by Congresswoman Lynn Woolsey. She recognizes the importance of this particular race. And I'm endorsed by many other entities because they know I can do the job for you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Karen now.
Good evening. I'm Karen Dow. I'm a sixth-generation Sonoma County family member. I believe that Petaluma should be represented by individuals with an open mind to the entire community's concerns. I grew up on the west side of Petaluma and raised my family on the east side. I know what is important to Petalumans. I can honor my community and traditions while supporting the future economic growth of my family and neighbors. My passion for the community involvement began in the 1970s under the guidance of then Mayor Helen Putnam. I volunteered for local nonprofits. I earned the prestigious 1995 Good Egg Award for my work with the Petaluma Adobe and the Petaluma River Festival. I have served tirelessly on the Recreation Music Parks Commission as well as the City Council. And welcome this evening, and thank you to the AUW and the League of Women Voters for hosting this forum.
Thank you. Next we have Gabe Kearney.
Good evening. My name is Gabe Kearney, running for City Council here in Petaluma. I work in emergency preparedness when I'm not running for City Council. And currently our city is kind of reaching a financial emergency. And I think that my background is one that looks at planning and how we look at the future and prevent things from happening and make sure that we mitigate the effects of downturns in the situation. When I'm not working, I am the chair of the Community Development Committee for this County of Sonoma. The Community Development Committee oversees the redevelopment agency for the county. We do all the redevelopment in the unincorporated areas and oversee all homeless service funding for the county. That experience is providing me the background that's needed for the City Council, working with divergent views throughout the county and working with tough budgets as we move forward.
Thank you so much. Next we have Chris Albertson.
Good evening. Are we on? My name is Chris Albertson, and I'm a candidate for City Council. I've worked in local government for 38 years, 23 of those in management in the last 6.5 years here in Petaluma as the city fire chief. I am a pro-business candidate, but more importantly, I'm a pro-progress candidate that wants to see Petaluma flourish and prosper. The city of Petaluma, like many cities across California, is in financial trouble. Budget cuts alone will not solve the city's fiscal problems. Enhancing revenues must be addressed and must be pursued. As a city council member, my first three priorities would be jobs and the economy, maintenance of critical services, and identifying funding sources for critical infrastructure and capital purchases. As the election gets closer, I hope to earn your support and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now Ray Johnson.
Hello. I've lived in Petaluma for 26 years because I love it. And I'm running for City Council because the city's in trouble, and I mean trouble. And if we don't start resurrecting the budget and moving the budget up, it could get a whole lot worse. What's the one way to do that? Attract corporate jobs. Attract jobs that will bring in property tax, will bring in sales tax, will fill our commercial buildings that are empty now. We'll consider to preserve the environment just because they're using existing buildings. How do I plan to do that? I spent 30 years as a business executive. I know what it's like to be in boardrooms of companies of every size. I know what it takes to get agreement. That was my life. I had to do it. And what I need to do now is go back out there 24/7 because I'm retired and bring corporate presence back to Petaluma, jobs, money, and change the bleeding. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you. Mike Harris.
Good evening. My name is Mike Harris. I'm on the City Council now, And first off, I'd like to thank the AAEW, the League of Women Voters, and the Argus Courier for having this forum tonight, as it's very important to give the candidates that are out there running a forum in which to actually express their views. As I'm out there, one of the main issues is economic revitalization of our city. We've all obviously seen our general fund has dropped from $42 to $32 million over the last couple of years. So it's incumbent upon us as candidates that are out there that are discussing the issues, and if we are on the city council, to continue the economic revitalization that's necessary in order to mitigate the service cuts that have happened over the years, and of course the layoffs that have happened as well. So I respectfully ask for your support in this election, and if there's any questions that I may miss during the evening, feel free to call me at home at 773-3196. Thank you.
Thank you. Teresa Barrett.
Hello, I'm Teresa Barrett, and I would also like to thank the American Association of University Women and the League of Women Voters. And I don't think I need to point out to anybody, it seems very obvious that the role of women in leadership has been extremely good here in Petaluma. And I am a candidate for City Council because I am the only candidate that brings 4 years of experience on the City Council and over 6 years of experience on the Planning Commission. I have an eye to what I consider to be the long-term issues of Petaluma. I think we are having a budget crisis. I think we are in a very difficult place right now, and I hear a lot of people suggesting solutions. I want to make sure that those short-term solutions do not turn into long-term problems, and I believe I am the candidate that has the eye towards the long-term interests of Petaluma. Thank you.
Thank you. Jason Davies.
Thank you. I'm Jason Davies. I'm running for City Council. I wanted to also thank the Women Voters and the AAW for bringing this on. It's a great opportunity. And I want to thank our community for showing up. It's important to be engaged because this is a very important election. I'm running for City Council to help bring sustainable revenues to our city. We need local jobs. In this challenging economy, I offer professional business development skills. I'm a Vice President of Business Development for a local technology firm. And I believe we need proactive efforts to draw more companies to our town to fill the 40% vacancy rates that we've got in our office spaces. I strongly support improving transportation in our city, including responsible 101 widening. We need bike lanes, we need more walking paths, and river access should be improved. I also work to protect and improve our gateways so that we can ensure Petaluma's attractiveness as a tourist destination. And Petaluma is undergoing revitalization in infrastructure and green energy technologies. We need leadership that works proactively to nurture existing firms while encouraging new companies to locate here. Thank you.
Thank you. And we've got Wyatt Bunker.
Good evening. My name is Wyatt Bunker. I'm an independent and a fiscal conservative. I also have a degree in chemical engineering from UC Berkeley. I work in Petaluma and I coach badminton at Petaluma High. I have deep concerns for the careless regard in which Petaluma continues to squander its assets and resources on higher salaries, benefits, and pensions. In fact, we have what I would call a government rewards program. We need to fix this, and we need to fix this now. If negotiations in good faith are not working, then I have the courage to move for binding arbitration. I've declined endorsement from the unions, so I come with no strings attached. I can't say that for all the other candidates that are here. It's time we start thinking ahead, and it's time we start planning more responsibly for the future. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. That gives us a real good introduction to the candidates. And as you can see with this many candidates, what we're going to get is an overview of everybody. Fortunately, and I'll tell you about that later, there'll be some other opportunities to look at them again. We're going to start with our question and answer portion of the program. As a reminder, each of the candidates will have 1 minute to answer each question. And we understand that it will be tough to risk saying all of that in 1 minute. But do the best you can to focus your responses. We're going to start with Mr. Glass. David, can you tell us why you are running and explain your top issue? So that's why and top issue.
Thank you. I'm running because we need experience. We need people that do know how to get the economy moving here locally, and I know how to do that. We need to fill the vacancies. We need to reduce the commercial and industrial vacancies that are in our town. The City Council recently got back the reviewed draft for an economic strategic plan. I'm looking forward to implementing this plan, just like we implemented the theater district when I was mayor. I know how to take a plan, analyze it, move it through to implementation, and that's what we have to do. We need to get our local economy going, and I know that we can do that. We can take redevelopment funds, incentivize and get business retention and expansion, and create high-paying jobs that are living wage jobs through incentives, and that's why such groups as the North Bay Labor Council endorses me, because they know I know how to go after and get high-quality paying jobs.
Thank you. I'm going to repeat. Ms. Now, why are you running? And please explain your top issue.
Thank you. I am running because I want to represent you, the constituents of Petaluma. I want to see future economic vitality and shopping opportunities, which helps the city's budget and increases our revenue. I then would like to see more public safety and more infrastructure and parks and a healthier community in which we can all live and prosper. And I'd like to be a business-friendly community to the existing businesses that we already have, and a tourist opportunity like our Spring Hill Cheese Factory that's right next to City Hall, where we have local agriculture and we have a business and employers who are contributing to our healthy community. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next, we'll hear from Mr. Kearney, your top issue and why you are running.
My top issue is economic development. We cannot move forward with the current revenues that we have and be able to sustain as a city. In order to have economic growth in Petaluma, we need to attract businesses that are going to offer high-paying jobs or good-paying jobs to our community members. When you bring those good-paying jobs into the city of Petaluma, the people that work in those jobs can then spend money in the city of Petaluma, will buy houses in the city of Petaluma, will buy cars at our auto mall. Those are the things that the cars and the houses are what fuel our city's budget. While it is nice to increase our revenue through retail sales, it's not the answer. We have to look at higher-paying jobs, bringing them back to our community, and filling the office spaces that are empty. In addition, we have to look at how we can do that sustainably and make sure that we're not hurting our community in its long-term view.
Thank you, Mr. Albertson. Your top issue and why you're running.
Thank you. I'm running because I want to see a change in the town. The town, I think, needs to start to move forward again. The city needs to encourage business to come to Petaluma, and I believe Petaluma can be promoted as a business-friendly location and recruit businesses to come here and fill the empty office spaces that have been mentioned earlier. The city should be engaging some of the landlords and the businesses that could come here and city staff themselves and have a three-way partnership that can benefit all parties. I believe that you bring a company into this town that comes in with employees, you can show them what this community has to offer. And this community, as you know, has much to offer. And I think we need to promote that and build the economy in the city and move the community forward again. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson, why you're running and your top issue?
As I stated in my opening remarks, I'm running because I think the city's in trouble, and I think they need some business impetus on the council. I don't think there's a lot of, I'll call it business savvy, a lot of experience with dealing with corporate America and what it takes to bring them into Petaluma. I've done it for 30 years, and I enjoy going out on the road and talking about this city. I literally will work day and night to make sure we try to attract businesses, as everybody has said before me, to fill our commercial real estate. We have to do that. We have to preserve the environment. We have to make this city as good as it already is, but have the money to keep it going. If we don't do that, I'm not sure it's sustainable with the business we have now. And I want to help them also. I want to create task force that will help us do that. It will work with the local businesses. It will give them the ability to sustain themselves. Thank you very much.
Mr. Harris.
Thank you. As I referred to in my opening remarks, economic revitalization is the #1 issue facing this community, and that will be my #1 priority. As I referenced, the general fund that had dropped from $42 to $32 million. We have a general plan that we worked on for 6 to 7 years, and we had a lot of people come together and put this plan together, passed the City Council by unanimous vote. Now it's incumbent upon us to actually implement the general plan and shepherd through the process the projects that are clearly outlined in the general plan. Also, we just received a draft of the economic strategic plan that has come before us. Obviously, there's going to be some actionable items and deliverables that are inside that plan that we need to move forward on as soon as possible in order to bridge the gap and push for more economic revitalization.
Thank you very much. Ms. Barrett?
Thank you. I think that we're hearing just about everybody recognizes that economic revitalization is key, and that means jobs, and that means looking at our city. The question is, how are you going to look at the city? How are you going to go about revitalizing the city? I want to do that by capitalizing on our assets, not cannibalizing them. I want to look at what we have and make that better, stronger, more vital. I want to bring in businesses that have synergy with our existing businesses. We have a healthcare center that is going to increase from 5,000 people that it serves every year to 40,000. We need to capitalize on what we already have and strengthen that, provide the infrastructure for that kind of a business. We need to build what we have downtown and re-tenant downtown. We don't need to build new empty buildings. We need to strengthen what we have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davies.
Thanks. Well, I actually would echo much of what Teresa just said. We do need to look at our strengths and leverage those. As Vice President of Business Development for a local software company based here in Petaluma, that's what I do every day. I'm always looking out for opportunities and seizing those. When there was an opportunity for our city to apply for Google Fiber and our city hadn't acted on it, I went for it. I convinced our city to do the application. We put it out there to the world, and as a result, although Google hasn't selected anyone yet, we put it out there that we're interested in that kind of technology, and I think we need to be much more proactive, and I believe I can deliver that. I'm running to ensure that we have balance, that we bring jobs while protecting the very things that bring companies here in the first place, and that's why I came here. That's why I've raised a family here with my wife, and I want to make sure that we maintain and sustain the very things that make this place a great city.
Thank you so much. And Mr. Bunker?
Well, I'm running to protect the interests of Petaluma. As I've said before, we have an unsustainable government rewards program. In the last 3 years, we've seen our reserve fund go from $8 million down to almost $5,000, which is pretty much zero. As Mr. Harris said, the general fund is about $32 million, and 80% of that goes to pay the salaries and benefits of our government workers. We have the fire department. In the fiscal year ending 2009, the average salary of the whole department was $109,992. Also, the average benefit cost of the fire department on average was north of $45,000. This is not middle management, this is not upper management, this is the entire department. Also, I'm worried that we're not maintaining our infrastructure. We have $600 million in underground assets, and we spend only $2 million on maintenance each year. I'm all for efficiencies, but I'm concerned that we're taking too many shortcuts and we're not planning for the future.
Thank you so much. Mr. Maine?
Thank you. The top issue that I have is, like everyone else, economic revitalization. I think it is imperative that we change our attitude up here and make ourselves more welcoming. I also, because I've been on the Downtown Association for almost 10 years now, understand the reasons why we need to keep vitality in our downtown. The reason we have vacancies right now is not because of a phantom shopping center that hasn't been built yet or some other competition in town. There are some very distinct reasons why those buildings have become vacant, and we can easily and without a lot of expense fill them up again by giving the tools to the landlords they need to attract new tenants. As far as our existing empty buildings, we certainly need to fill them with people. The economic strategic plan is great, but without a change in attitude, without a showing that we're welcoming new businesses here to town, no plan by itself is going to be enough.
Thank you so much. So there was kind of a common thread, and I do have to compliment you all for staying focused. Very impressive in your 1 minute time. So you did so good. We're going to give you another chance. This time we're going to start with Ms. Now. Ms. Now, in light of challenging economic times, of which you've spoken, what areas of the budget need special review? So if you've talked about this before, you can amplify. So we're looking for what areas of the budget need special review.
Well, I have the opportunity to have sat on the city council before and done budgets for 4 years when I was on the city council. And there's a lot of thinking outside the box in the last 2 years since I've been off, in which they consolidated the Parks and Rec department into Public Works, and that saved quite a bit of money. I would like to see that also with the Water Resource Department and Public Works, and it might be able to save us some money because we would have a consolidated water resource engineering with the capital improvement project division of the Public Works, so that we're not outsourcing our employees. We're using the employees that we already have within the city. I would also like to see us, the city manager currently has 2 assistants, and we think that we can do some moving around of administration staff and maybe offer some in retirement, so that we can reduce some of that budget concerns. And I'm out of time. Thank you.
Mr. Kearney, what areas of the budget need special review?
One of the common threads that you're going to hear at debates throughout this election cycle, both ours and in other cities, is the easy target of going after public employees and going after public safety. About, I'd say 6 years ago, our city wisely looked at what we were paying our public safety employees and raised it so we wouldn't continue to bleed staff to other agencies. So yes, we do pay a lot for public safety. We do pay them a salary that is commensurate with other agencies in the area, and we do that so we don't end up wasting $100,000 to bring them to our city, train them, and then lose them to another agency. So one of the areas of the budget that I'm going to be working on most intently is the revenue side of the budget. Oftentimes when we talk about budgets, it's only about where we can cut, but we need to focus on where we can increase the amount of revenue coming to the city of Petaluma and focus on that, and not on cutting employees and blaming them for this problem.
Thank you so much. Mr. Albertson?
Thank you. I echo much of what you've heard here this evening. The revenue side of the equation needs to be addressed. Cuts by themselves will not solve the problems that we're in. So we need to raise revenues. At the same time, there's much talk here on the dais and out in the media about salaries and benefits. I think that it's the time to look at public safety retirement and a 2-tier system for all the public employees in the city of Petaluma. I've discussed this with the employee bargaining groups. They're prepared to embrace this, and we do a 2-tier which would lower the cost to the city. This is a problem that Petaluma needs to address, but it's not a problem that Petaluma by itself can fix. It has to be a fix statewide. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Yeah, thank you very much. There's a couple of areas that we can look at, and I don't think any of you sitting out there would like to see us cut more special services like police and fire. I hope you share my opinion that what we have is pretty darn good, and I'd like to keep it. Mr. Albertson just referenced something that I firmly believe in, a 2-tiered pension. I worked in the private sector my whole life and was involved in the SBC AT&T design of their 2-tiered system, and it cut dramatically the overall benefit cost. It should be something we should be looking at right away. I'm also leery of outsourcing. I don't like to see city employees lose their job, and I think outsourcing all too often actually costs more than it saves. I've been experienced with that. If any of you know AT&T, you know outsourcing is a way of life. And if you want to continue to call India or somewhere else, it doesn't save you the money you think it does. So let's keep our employees in the city, and also, like I said, 2-tiered pension, and then look at the budget from top to bottom once I get in.
Thank you so much, Mr. Harris.
Yes, obviously in any budget there's an expenditure side and there's a revenue side of the ledger. So in respect to, I've already referenced the general fund that's dropped from $42 to $32 million. In order to get there, we had a lot of consolidation, a lot of efficiencies that happened, and of course a lot of contracting that we had to do with outside vendors. Obviously the key in this campaign and this discussion up here tonight, we want to focus on the revenue side and how to enhance that, how to bridge that gap, and I'll continue to focus on that throughout the campaign. One of the issues that's been brought up tonight and has been out there in the community as I've been chatting with people is obviously pension reform. I also support a two-tiered pension reform system for our city because as you sit down with some of the bargaining groups and with the actuarial tables with everybody at the table, obviously there's some long-term savings that are in there. So I would welcome that discussion about the bargaining units as well as one of the sides of the ledger to discuss for the expenditure reductions.
Thank you. Ms. Barrett, your area of budget needing special review.
Well, thank you. You know, this is another one of these topics where everybody, you know, wants to see our police and fire stay the same and wants to, you know, deal with the budget and has specific ideas that don't move the police and firemen anywhere. And I'm not necessarily advocating that we do that, but I think the elephant in the room is that the police and fire budget, their salaries make up 80% of our general fund. If we are really talking about a smaller pie for this city, then there are going to be some very hard choices in front of us that no one is going to like and are politically very difficult to deal with. But they need to be dealt with. And they need to be dealt with calmly, and they need to be dealt with wisely. And part of that, which I think has been referenced by some people, is growing the revenue stream. And that's why we took the action to develop an economic development strategy so we could address that issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davies.
Thanks. Well, some of what I'm going to say is going to be a little repetitive. Obviously, we need to focus on improving revenues and enhancing them. I have a number of ideas that actually are very much in common with what I'm reading in the economic development strategy. Obviously, we need to build on our strengths. We need to be more proactive in attracting more business to our town. We also need to enhance our city so that it's more attractive for tourism. There's a number of things that we can be doing to improve on that. As far as budgets, you know, as a Vice President of Business Development for a software company here in Petaluma, we've also been impacted by the economy. And I can tell you that it can be challenging, but what you do is you get very creative, you get very proactive, and you find little areas where you can make a difference. And those areas can add up, and you can make some cuts. But I would, as a last resort, want to cut anything in terms of personnel that would result in a lack of safety for our public. We need to make sure that we prioritize that.
Thank you. Mr. Bunker?
Well, I mentioned the fire department earlier and the exorbitant salaries over there. I just want to clarify, these are not bad people. This is a bad system. A lot of that, I think, has to do with overtime. I mean, private enterprise wouldn't pay that kind of overtime. They just simply hire more workers. At the same time, I want to avoid layoffs, and you do this through pay cutting, and you also do this through pension reform. Now, we've got over 12% unemployment in the state. We've got the city of San Jose, which just a few months ago laid off dozens, and I want to say it was north of 80 firefighters. And I don't understand why it costs $100,000 to train one person to work in public safety. These people have clearly worked for other cities. They have training. Sure, there's going to be a few months of onboarding, but that's no different than any job that you take in the private sector. So I think $100,000 training new employees is ridiculous, and I would also look at that cost. Also, did you know that under the defined benefit system, Petaluma is responsible for some of the losses in pension funds due to the stock market drops? So.
Thank you, Mr. Maine. Areas of the budget needing special review.
Thank you. On the income side, for years with the Downtown Association and the Chamber, I've been an advocate of both the Regency project and the Deer Creek Village project. When you talk about a way to grow ourselves back into a situation of economic vitality, that's a fantastic way to increase sales tax revenue, to correct the wrongs of depriving ourselves of what we need, where we have to get on 101 to get it. That's also going to increase our incremental property taxes. I think the redevelopment agency is an excellent economic engine to create profits for our community, and I want to see that explored. On the expense side, I'm frustrated that we're spending so much defending ourselves in litigation. I want to conduct ourselves in a way that causes less litigation. I want to explore in-house counsel as a cost savings measure as opposed to farming that out. And we certainly do need to look at employee pensions, but thank God the unions in this town are also recognizing that, and they're supportive of it as well. Once our economy is healthy again, I want to see us put money back in infrastructure maintenance so we don't have to have infrastructure replacement. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Glass.
Thank you. We do need to grow our revenues, and that's why I'm happy that I did bring Regency to this town in 2004 that allowed us to achieve a new junior high. Yes, it took too long to process that application. It was frustrating, but I'm glad that it's over, and I voted to end it as soon as possible. Some did, some didn't. We will arrive with about $1.5 million of revenue, but that's probably a year and a half out. We do need to continue to grow our revenues. My opponent wants to lessen our legal litigation. I suggest we complete an environmental impact report as promised in our general plan, and I've given him a copy of that today so he can realize that it's a legal requirement for us to do. It's on page 143 of volume 6A of the unanimously adopted general plan that the council adopted in May of 2008. I wasn't even here then. Mike Harris voted for that general plan adoption as it is with the requirement to do that analysis. Thank you.